sports industry, of course, definitely helped me grow into a mature young man, into a young professional. And I want to give a shout out to Sarah Moore, Michael Copeland, and Megan Rogers for mentoring me. One of the obstacles to this is I have autism. I have pervasive developmental delay, or PED for short. It's a mild form of autism. I would say I've got a range of 4 to 5, 6-year difference in the delayed process. It's given me a lot of, resiliency to overcome the challenges. I was told, I would never make it, live on my own, or get a diploma, or drive a car, or make friends for that matter. And I'm thankful to say that I've overcome the odds, and I'm very proud of myself for being able to. And big shout out to our good friend Donnie Bruni, because Donnie and I work very closely with Autism Ontario and Monica Richardson. We fundraised for them, we attended their golf tournament, we gave them tickets for the Argos and other events. So they're the ones we want to give a huge shout out to as well. And thankful for Donnie as well, connecting me to the most amazing people, and that includes yourself, Mr. Vince Capano.
To me, whenever a puck is not in control, Cappy, it always ends up on the board somewhere. It always gravitates to the walls, to the lower kick plate or whatever. So knowing how to go into these battle situations or these stressful and pressurized situations and coming out with the puck, or having a strategy with your teammate to come out with the puck, is just as important as shooting it. You can't possess it and prepare it. Even at the NHL level, I'm like, listen, every battle is won before it's fought. Let's work with the players technically and strategically on what to do and where to go, how to attack a player, how to shield the puck and protect it so that we can keep it in possession. So these are your skates, and you're going down the ice. You're kind of shoulder width apart, and you have the puck in control. Lefties, they always control the puck just in front of their left foot, because that's where their stick sits down on the ice. Kind of you're going maneuvering forward in a straight line, and it's not always straight in front of you. It's just over to the side a little bit. So righties, it'll be over here. So think of a clock. If you're going forward, and right here in the middle is 12 o'clock, so lefties, they handle the puck between, like 11 to 10 o'clock. That's where lefties control the puck, somewhere around there. To shoot it, you got to bring it all the way over to 9 o'clock. You got to go over here somewhere at the 9 o'clock range when you're prepared, low to release it. So what I try and do is, I try and get players who are lefties, instead of controlling the puck here at 11 o'clock or between 11 and 10, I try to get them to control it all the way over here beside 9 o'clock, between 10 and 9 o'clock. So they can, if they have to load it, it's already there. They just got to bring it back a little bit or let their body go forward, or they can shoot it without loading it. So I have a saying, less load, more explode. The most efficient preparation players are the ones that are more successful. So it's important to do drills with the puck prepared in a position as close to your release or loading position as much as possible.
So I started my business from my basement. I took all the money that I made from the CFL, which was about $12,000 in that time period, a few years. Took that money and I just put a squat rack here, some dumbbells here, a treadmill there, just kind of all the odds and ends you would need. And at that time I said, I don't think anybody's ever going to come to my basement to come train with me. But the goal was, let's just get a couple athletes in here that truly believe that they can take their game to that next level. And I had to get a lot of confidence in myself and really fight some demons that really believed that I was not only good enough, but great enough to train people in the basement that maybe didn't look like the state-of-the-art facility. I went and I started to volunteer my time at my old high school. I spent the whole season there. At the end of the season, I just asked the coach, can I ask a few of the kids if they can come train with me, and I'll charge them next to nothing if they want to come. Lord behold, 2 kids actually emailed me back. They came and started to train with me. One of those kids actually just got drafted to the CFL. He's been with me for the entire time. Me and him have molded each other, not only me into a great coach, but him into an unbelievable athlete. But those two kids came and trained with me. And literally, they were paying me like $10 for a training session, but they were here for like 3-4 hours. So I was basically making like $250 an hour. And that's all I was making for like the month. So those two kids were coming. I was making like maybe $80, $100 a month. But it wasn't about the money. It was about getting those kids to where they needed to be and taking their game to that next level. And they did so well that they were my walking resume, and other athletes started to come. And by the time I knew it, I had like 60, 70 athletes down here. I had a full team in my basement, and I was bursting at the seams. Before COVID, I had about 500 athletes training with us. Only 3 years of building the business.
What do you think the future is in terms of reporting?
I just don't think it's going to be as personal for your generation as it was for ours, where you get a chance to go in the room and sit down beside player X and have a chat, whether it be on camera or not. Just you get to know these people, get to go on father-son, mother-son trips, get to know their parents. But those trips really facilitated it. Now access to the team is going to be more than arm's length. It's going to be several arm's length. And in many respects, doing what we're doing here right now, and is nice and informal as this is, it's still not the same as sitting down in an arena and carrying on this conversation. I think we'll get back to a sense of normalcy in about 1.5 years, 2 years from now. But for now, I got the masks. We have them everywhere. That's going to be the new normal. So I think that aspect of the business is going to change. It's not going to be as personal as it once was. I think you're going to get a lot of cookie cutter situations where the answers are, 25, 30 seconds, fairly fabricated, true, genuine, but it's just not going to be as good as it once was. But those days of storytelling, etc., everything now is 20 to 30 seconds, quickly on YouTube. The next generation, they're not into sitting down and watching 3 hours of a sport event. Most sport events are not. It's game in 6, game in 2 minutes, and a couple of clips, and boom, you're on your way, because there's just so much knowledge coming in, and you can only digest so much. So it's coming in shorter sample sizes.
To win in this league, you have to have that great cohesive unit where people understand that the team is bigger than them. We made a bold move when we decided to move on from Corey Boyd and get a guy like Chad that maybe fit the thing Scott wanted to do better. But that was not an easy decision. When I was the year before, we didn't have Ricky Ray, and we were a much more run-oriented team. So Corey was a great player for us and had developed a following in Toronto. And, it was one of those things. It was not an easy decision, but it was a decision that had to be made. And so watching some of those things work out is how you win. If Ricky Ray in week 15 or 16 goes down with a separated shoulder and doesn't play the rest of the year, chances are we don't win the 100th Grey Cup. I'm just being honest. It would have been very difficult. Jarius Jackson was our backup, and he was a great backup. At the time, Zach Caleros and Trevor Harris were 3 and 4, but Jarius was the backup because he was the experienced guy. And then the next year, Jarius moved on into coaching, and it allowed Trevor and Zach to compete for number 2. And then we both know what both of them are doing now. So things just kind of fell in the right way for us. And I thought our coaching staff just did a fantastic job of putting those pieces together. Scott was dynamic as a head coach, and he will be again in Edmonton.
Something needs to be done. The PWHPA is a great group that are sort of leading the charge here and trying to make a difference, trying to get women's hockey a platform to leverage from with resources, and less concerned about sort of today, building a league of, a professional culture, not just the product on the ice, but the professional culture. Those things that just are taken for granted in those environments, in professional environments, that these women just don't have. So, they really need the support of, whether it's the NHL, is a group that can say, what, we're going to make change for the better. And I always say, these women are doing it not just for themselves today, not to get a paycheck tomorrow, but to build something that's going to last, that is going to get them to the platform they need to be at. Similar to, say, the WNBA. It took time, and women's hockey is decades behind that right now. So how do we get there so that my daughters or the ones younger than my daughters, 6 to 7-year-olds, don't have to be going through this in 10, 12 years time, and they're not the same spot. Let's get on board, people, right? Let's get these women the platform that they've earned and they deserve, so that the young girls of today can go watch them and say, that's where I want to be. And so, growth to me, the opportunity is astounding, because the talent of these women, it is unbelievable to watch them. The quick release shooting, the strides, the skating, the strength, the power, and what the time and effort they put into their craft is unbelievable. And it's time that it's out there on a regular basis, not just every 4 years when people tune in and, they become often the most watched at the Olympics, So let's tune in now. And I think the time is now. I really, really believe that.
When I was at Brock University, I don't even think there was 5 of us Black students or like diversity that went through sport management. When I went to Durham, I was it as the only Black student when I graduated from Durham College in the sport management program. And then it was the same thing when I went to West Virginia. I was the only Black person. I learned to sometimes brush it off, but sometimes people don't take me serious, especially if I'm in a supervisor role or if I'm in a leadership role, and I just have to be able to gain their trust and show them I do know what I'm talking about, or I am capable of doing the work. And it's hard to get rid of that stigma of I'm only here to be that token minority for the group. But I always try to tell people, especially coming up behind me, turn that into a positive. Turn that into yes, I might be the only minority here, but I didn't get hired to me being a minority is just an added bonus. I got hired based off of my skills. I got hired based off of what I'm able to bring to this team, and I'm going to show you what that is. Some people might like it, some people won't like it, and it's just being able to shrug it off and just continue to do what you do and to not give up because you don't see other people that are like you.
I saw a video online about a little kid named Oliver, and he was having a birthday, and stay-at-home orders had been issued, and his parents tweeted out just a general tweet to anybody who happened to see it. Can you take some time and send Oliver some birthday wishes, because he can't have a party and we're stuck inside, and he's a big Leafs fan, et cetera, et cetera. So I thought, you know what? Why don't I send out a birthday greeting to Oliver? And I did, and it just sort of picked up from there. And I started getting a couple of people asking me, hey, do you think you could do a goal with my name in it? And I thought, sure. And not really thinking any further than, a couple of people who'd asked me. And so that was on a Sunday. And on the Monday, I figured I got a couple of more, and I figured, you know what, I'm going to put out a video and say, if you want a goal call, send me the details. Here's my Twitter, here's my Instagram. And it absolutely blew up.
Hello is kind of something that, growing up in Brooklyn, you'd see a pretty girl walk down the street, you go, hello, you turn to your friends, you go, hello. So kind of my thing with hello is, when I see a play that I'm super impressed by, I go, hello, and get that garbage out of here. Just came from playing ball in the schoolyards in Brooklyn, and guy blocks a shot, and normally he says, get that blank and blank out of here. Now, obviously, it's a family show. I can't use that on television or radio. So I turn around, and I just one night it came to me. I said, get that garbage out of here, in my Brooklyn accent.
The main goal and the key is to get to the other side of the pool as fast as you can, right? That's always the key. I don't want to call it a disadvantage. It's the added brain work, I guess, that's entailed, is that sometimes that person takes 76 strokes instead of the 28 that Penny would take, right? So we need to consider how much work that person is actually doing to cover the distance. So in a swim coach's mind, 50 meters is 50 meters and everyone has to do that. But in my mind, if someone's taking 76 strokes to get to the other side, they're working probably 2 or 3 times as hard as the person that takes 28 strokes because they're longer and more efficient. Or if we have someone that can only use one side of their body to get to the other side of the pool, we need to consider that they're working a hell of a lot harder on one side than the other person is working 2 sides because they have that advantage.
he was compromised. He already had a couple brain surgeries, a bunch of chemo and radiation, and but he managed to do that tour, which was just very, very impressive. We didn't know if we could do it. Like, you were really, from the first practice, who knows? I mean, I was living with him at the time, and it was just like with he and his brother. And it's like, I don't know if he's going to remember anything. And he didn't. And he didn't remember anything. So, you know, but he remembered melody. And if you put the lyrics in front of him, all of a sudden he could do it. So we, you know, had to just go through songs and pick ones that he could do well. And he also, of course, super ambitious. He wanted to do 3 or 4 songs from every one of our records. Every night, different every night. So it was basically, he wanted to make it the most ambitious tour ever. And fortunately, he was taking this injection of, it's called Avastin, and it helps with certain kinds of brain cancer, glioblastoma. But you can only take 4, and what it does is stops the tumor, and it basically stopped it for 2 months growing during the tour. We didn't know how it was going to go. I mean, we were well practiced, more well practiced than we've ever been on a tour. Going in, who knew? And then Victoria went well. That was the whole key. Just Victoria needed to go well. It was the first show. And it doesn't go well, then we're all screwed. And it went well, and then it just kept going better and better. It was 15 shows in 30 days, so a night off, and that was on purpose to get Gord rested. And it was a fitting ending, very obviously unique. I mean, it's tough, but it was already going to be tough. Just tougher losing him as a friend. And it was tough on him. He didn't like the thought of the band ending. But, you know, we were able to just keep things going a bit. But we're not getting another singer. So he was at peace with that. And then he managed to get a bunch done in the next year. He lasted another year after that. And he did his Secret Past shows, and he did a couple of different records. So he just took it really well. Like, he was so dignified, and he wanted to work every single day. And that was post-tour too. Just all he wanted to do was work. And so I feel happy for him in that sense. But yeah, it was really tough. It's still tough.
We hope we informed and entertained, and we'll see you next time. Bye, everybody.